At a family dinner, my husband's parent turned to him and said, "You can still get an annulment. It's not too late." My husband laughed uncomfortably. I smiled, placed a document on the table, and said, "I was thinking the same thing, read this." Their eyes widened as they realized it was their own disinheritance papers. I didn't grow up rich. My parents worked regular jobs, I had student loans, and I never expected some kind of fairy tale romance. But when I met Nathan, I thought I had won the lottery, not because of his family's money, but because he made me feel like I mattered. Like I was special. Like we were in this together. I was wrong. Nathan's family was old money, the kind that went on summer trips to the Hamptons, owned boats they barely used, and had a country club membership just because. His parents, Richard and Margaret, weren't rude to me exactly, but they had a way of making sure I knew I didn't belong. Margaret, with her perfectly done hair and fake sweet voice, would say things like, "Oh honey, I just didn't expect Nathan to marry someone so practical." Richard, always straight to the point, would just look at Nathan and go, "Are you sure she's not after your money?" And Nathan? He always brushed it off. "They just need time," he said. "They'll come around." I believed him. Because I wanted to believe him. Then came Thanksgiving. We were at his parents' house, a ridiculous mansion in Lake Forest, Illinois. The kind of house with 3 living rooms, marble floors, and a dining table that could seat 20. The kind of house where I was always afraid to touch anything. It was me, Nathan, his parents, his younger brother Daniel, and a few extended family members. Dinner was tense. It always was. Margaret made little digs about my dress. "Oh, I love how you don't care about labels." Richard asked if I still worked at my job, as if I would magically stop needing to pay my own bills. Nathan just smiled and changed the subject, because that's what he always did. Then, right as dessert was being served, Richard set down his glass of wine, looked straight at Nathan, and said, "You know, you can still get an annulment. It's not too late." The whole table went silent. Nathan gave this awkward laugh, shifting in his chair. He glanced at me, expecting me to just ignore it like usual. I didn't. I pulled a document from my bag, placed it on the table, and slid it toward Richard and Margaret. "Funny," I said, smiling. I was thinking the same thing. "Read this." Margaret's hand froze on her wine glass. Richard's face twitched like he wanted to yell, but hadn't decided how loud yet. Nathan frowned. "What is that?" Margaret, being nosy, snatched it up first. She barely got through the first line before her eyes widened. Richard leaned over, read a few lines, then turned red. It was their own disinheritance papers. See, Nathan's family had a trust fund system. If he got married without a prenup, his parents had the right to change or revoke his inheritance. They had been counting on that clause. They had been waiting for the right moment to pressure him into an annulment, then sweep everything back into their perfect little family circle. What they didn't know. I had found out about this 6 months ago, and I had been busy. Nathan never told me about the clause. I accidentally found out at a country club event. Richard was talking to another rich old guy about being patient and letting Nathan see reason. I played dumb, but after that, I started looking. I went through everything. Nathan's emails. His bank statements. His texts. That's when I found the other bank account. The one his parents had been depositing money into every month. They were paying him to stay married for now, while they worked on convincing him to leave me. And Nathan? He had been letting it happen. That's when I realized he was never on my side. He never defended me. He never stood up to them. He just went along with it, hoping they'd either give up or that I'd magically decide to leave. So I stopped playing nice. I hired a lawyer. I had 2 options, file for divorce and fight it out in court, or be smarter. That's when I learned about postnuptial agreements. A postnup is like a prenup, but signed after marriage. So I had a lawyer draft one up. 50% of all assets acquired during the marriage? Mine. Full ownership of our condo in Chicago? Mine. Legal fees if we divorced? Paid by Nathan. Then I tricked Nathan into signing it. Not by lying, oh no, I just counted on him being lazy. His dad always handled the fine print for him, so when I slid the document across the kitchen counter and said, "Hey, my lawyer just needs this signed for some tax stuff," Nathan barely glanced at it before signing. I made 3 copies. Then, I sent one straight to Richard and Margaret's lawyer with a little note. "You might want to check what your son just agreed to." The phone call I got that night? Margaret was screaming. Richard was furious that Nathan had been so careless. Nathan? Confused. He didn't even realize what he signed until it was too late. And now, as they sat there at that ridiculous Thanksgiving table, staring at their own disinheritance papers, it hit them. I had won. Margaret's voice came out strangled. You can't be serious." "Oh, I'm very serious," I said. Nathan finally grabbed the papers, his face twisting. What the hell is this? You tell me, I said. You're the one who signed it. His hands shook as he read. His eyes darted from the paper to me, then to his parents. Babe, I held up a hand. Don't. Just don't. Because in that moment, as he sat there looking at me like I had betrayed him, I realized something. He never thought I would fight back. He thought I would just take it. Richard stood up, fists clenched. You think you can just take what's ours? I leaned back in my chair, completely calm. I think you should read the last page. He did. And when he got to the final clause, his mouth actually fell open. Nathan owed me alimony. A lot of it. I had taken everything they tried to protect. Margaret made this choked, gasping sound, like she was going to faint. Nathan ran a hand through his hair, eyes darting between me and his father. And me? I just smiled. Because this was just the beginning. Margaret's face was blotchy, her carefully applied makeup cracking under the weight of pure, seething rage. Richard, usually the composed one, was gripping the edge of the table so hard his knuckles had turned white. Nathan? He just looked lost. Like his entire world had crashed around him in the span of 5 minutes. And honestly, it had, because he never expected me to fight back. He thought I'd be the quiet, agreeable wife, the one who would just roll over while his parents schemed behind my back. Too bad for him, I had other plans. I didn't move from my chair. I wanted to watch them process it all, the way Richard's hands trembled when he realized I had taken everything they tried to protect, the way Margaret looked like she was going to be physically sick. They had tried to play me, and instead, they played themselves. But then, something happened that I didn't expect. Nathan started laughing. A low, bitter, almost hysterical laugh. So that's it? He tossed the papers onto the table and leaned back. You think you've won? I tilted my head. I don't think I won, Nathan. I know I did. His jaw clenched. He looked at his parents, as if expecting them to swoop in and fix this mess. But they couldn't. I had made sure of that. Richard sat down, his voice a forced calm. You're not getting away with this. I smiled. Oh, but I already have. Margaret, still looking dazed, whispered, You ruined him. And I almost laughed. Ruined him? No. He ruined himself. He was the one who let them control him. He was the one who hid things from me. He was the one who took their money, knowing what it meant. I just made sure he faced the consequences. Nathan leaned forward, his hands gripping the table. You think you're so smart, don't you? His voice was tight, angry. What do you even want, huh? Revenge? Is that it? I didn't answer right away. Because honestly, I hadn't even thought of it as revenge. At first, it was just self-preservation. Making sure I didn't walk away with nothing. Making sure they didn't get what they wanted. But now, looking at their faces, the absolute shock and rage, I realized something. Maybe I did want revenge. And maybe I wasn't done yet. I leaned in, lowering my voice just enough to make them all lean forward instinctively. I don't want your money, I said. I don't want your family name. I don't even want Nathan. Nathan flinched. I just wanted to show you that I am not someone you can step on. You tried to control me. You tried to get rid of me. But you forgot one thing. Margaret's lips parted. And what's that? I smiled. I'm smarter than all of you. Silence. And then, Richard snapped. He shoved his chair back, slamming his hands on the table. The wine glasses shook. A fork clattered onto the plate. He stopped himself, taking a deep breath. His voice, when he finally spoke, was calm and cold. This isn't over. I didn't doubt it. People like them? They never let things go. But I had expected this. I had planned for this. What I didn't expect was Nathan's next move. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and, without breaking eye contact with me, dialed a number. Yeah, he said, voice clipped. It's me. We have a problem. A pause. Then, he stood up, staring down at me with an expression I had never seen before. You wanted a war? His voice was low, dangerous. Fine. You've got one. And for the first time that night, I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Because I had prepared for his parents to fight back. I had prepared for lawsuits, for financial battles, for legal threats. But I hadn't prepared for Nathan to fight me too. And that was a mistake. Nathan's voice was low, controlled, but I could hear the edge of something dangerous in it. You wanted a war? Fine. You've got one. I didn't know who he called. But from the way Richard and Margaret immediately calmed down, the way their eyes shifted from anger to satisfaction, I knew one thing for certain. Nathan had just changed the game. My heartbeat slowed. Not out of fear, but because something inside me had just snapped into place. I had been playing defense. No more. I stood up, my hand steady as I smoothed out my dress. Good, I said. I was getting bored of playing nice. Nathan's lips curled into something almost like a smirk. And that's when I realized He had been waiting for this. For months, maybe even longer. He had never truly fought for me, never stood up to his parents. But now? Now that I had backed him into a corner, now that I had taken everything he thought was his, he had finally found a reason to care. Not about me, but about winning. I turned on my heel and walked out of the dining room, leaving them all sitting there in stunned silence. I expected Nathan to come after me. He didn't. That was my first mistake, assuming he would fight me in the open. The next morning, I woke up in our condo alone. Nathan hadn't come home. Good. I needed time to think. I grabbed my phone, ready to call my lawyer, when I saw it, an email from my job. Subject, urgent. HR meeting at 9 a.m. Please come to the office to discuss an important matter regarding your employment. My stomach twisted. I worked in corporate finance, and I had never, not once, been called into an unexpected HR meeting. I walked into my office in downtown Chicago, already on edge. My boss, Greg, was waiting with 2 HR reps. The air in the room was thick. Greg didn't waste time. We've received an anonymous tip about a conflict of interest regarding your position. I blinked. Excuse me? One of the HR reps slid a folder across the table. Inside were printouts of emails, not mine, but ones that had my name in them. Emails discussing insider trading, financial fraud, and asset manipulation. And the worst part? The messages made it look like I was involved. I felt the blood drain from my face. This isn't real. Greg exhaled. We don't think so either, but the company has to investigate. Effective immediately, you're suspended until further notice. Nathan. I knew it the second I stepped out of that room. He had done this. I barely made it back to my condo before the second hit came. A notice taped to my front door. Eviction notice effective immediately. The property is under review for legal ownership dispute. Ownership dispute? Unless. I snatched my phone and called my lawyer, Angela. She picked up on the first ring. I was just about to call you. I didn't even greet her. Why am I being evicted from my own condo? She sighed. Nathan filed an emergency motion to challenge the postnup. He's claiming you coerced him into signing under false pretenses. I almost dropped the phone. That's insane. That's rich people, she muttered. Listen, it won't hold up. He has no evidence, and frankly, he's an idiot for trying. But it does mean a judge has temporarily frozen all joint assets until it's settled. Meaning? I had no access to my own home. And my bank account? Also frozen. Nathan wasn't just fighting back, he was trying to destroy me. I took a deep breath. Fine. He wanted war? I was going to end him. I went straight to Angela's office, red-eyed but steady. What's our move? I asked. Angela grinned. I thought you'd never ask. She already had a plan. Step 1, expose him. I pulled out my laptop and dug deep. I knew Nathan. He was lazy. Careless. He had definitely left something incriminating behind. And I found it. Buried in his old emails was a message from his father, one that proved Nathan had been in on the annulment plan from the beginning. Nathan, don't forget that once the annulment goes through, we'll get your trust fund back to full capacity. Just be patient. I forwarded it to Angela. Step 2, cut off his backup. I called a friend in real estate, someone who knew all about the shady business dealings of Chicago's elite. And that's when I learned something very interesting. Nathan's family wasn't as rich as they pretended to be. Sure, they had assets. But their cash flow? Strained. Their investments? Not doing well. Meaning? If I dragged this fight out, if I forced them into court battles, frozen assets, and public disputes, it would cost them more than they could afford. And if I made the right phone calls, if I hinted at some questionable transactions, the IRS would start asking questions. Step 3, turn his allies against him. I called Nathan's younger brother, Daniel. Daniel hated their parents. He was the black sheep, the one who never played by their rules. And when I told him everything, he laughed. Then he said, tell me how I can help. 2 days later, Nathan showed up at my office. Unannounced. I was sitting in a coffee shop across from my work building, using a burner laptop since my work email was still locked. I looked up and saw him standing there, his face tight with frustration. We need to talk, he said. I leaned back, taking a slow sip of my coffee. I don't think we do. He sat down anyway, hands clasped together. Drop this, he said. I smiled. No, you don't want to fight me. Oh, Nathan, I sighed. I live for this. His jaw clenched. You think you're so untouchable? I raised an eyebrow. I know I am. He leaned in, voice low. You don't know what I can do. I smiled wider. Neither do you. Because while we were sitting there, while he was threatening me, Angela was filing a lawsuit against him and his parents. And Daniel? Daniel was leaking their family's financial issues to the press. Nathan had no idea that the walls were already closing in. And by the time he realized it, it would be too late. Nathan thought he could bury me. He thought money, connections, and playing dirty would be enough. But what he never realized, what his parents never realized, was that I wasn't just fighting to win. I was fighting to end them. And that moment, sitting across from Nathan at that coffee shop, staring into the eyes of a man who had once promised to love me but was now actively trying to ruin me, that's when I knew. This needed to end publicly. Angela had been working overtime. The lawsuit was in motion. Fraud, financial manipulation, coercion. Daniel had leaked his parents' failing investments to the press. And me? I was about to blow it all up. Nathan's family had a charity gala coming up. One of those ridiculous high society events where people in tuxedos donated money to causes they didn't actually care about. And I made sure I was invited. How? Well, let's just say Margaret's personal assistant hated her. A few well-placed words, a donation in my name, and suddenly, I had a seat at their most important event of the year. The same event where Nathan's parents planned to announce a massive business deal. The same event that would be crawling with reporters. I walked into that ballroom like I belonged there. Silk gown, heels that clicked against marble floors, a glass of champagne in hand. Nathan was across the room, talking to his father and a few investors. Margaret was near the stage, all fake smiles and careful posturing. They had no idea I was there. Until I walked right up to the microphone. A reporter, recognizing me from the leaked lawsuit, turned his camera just in time. I tapped the mic. The sound echoed through the ballroom. Every head turned. Nathan, mid-sip of his drink, froze. Margaret blanched. Richard took a slow step forward, face darkening. What the hell are you doing here? I smiled. Since this is a charity event, I figured I'd donate something. A pause. Then, I pulled out my phone. Let's talk about fraud, I said. Someone gasped. Richard went rigid. I clicked a button on my screen, and every massive screen in the ballroom lit up, showing the email exchange between Nathan and his father. The one where they openly discussed their plan to coerce him into an annulment, hide financial assets, and pay him off. The room exploded. Journalists scrambled for their cameras. Gasps, whispers, people turning toward Nathan's family in shock. Margaret staggered back like she had been slapped. This is a lie. I held up another email. You mean like this one? Where you literally tell Nathan to be patient while you find a way to revoke his marriage benefits. A photographer snapped a picture of her horrified expression. Nathan lunged forward, his voice a low growl. You insane, I said, holding up a hand. I'm not done. I turned to the investors, to the business elites who had been backing Richard's next big move. You might also want to know that Richard has been using company funds to cover personal losses. Dead silence. Then, chaos. Richard's face drained of color. You bitch. Oh, now you're mad? I asked, tilting my head. I thought you liked playing dirty. Nathan grabbed my wrist, yanking me toward him. His voice was low, desperate now. You have no idea what you've just done. I yanked free. Oh, I know exactly what I've done, I said. And then I walked out. Within hours, it was everywhere. The leaked emails. The financial investigation. The complete and utter collapse of Nathan's family name. Margaret hid from the press. Richard stepped down from his company. Nathan? Nathan called me. At first, angry. Then? Begging. I get it now, he said, voice cracking. I should have chosen you. I let out a small laugh. Yeah, you should have. And then I hung up. Nathan lost everything. His trust fund? Gone. His reputation? Destroyed. His family? In shambles. And me? I sold the condo. Moved to New York. Started over. I wasn't rich, but I was free. And after everything, that was worth more than any trust fund ever could be.